I think it's fair to assume that President Biden and his team and Speaker McCarthy and his team will return to the negotiating table in the hope of hammering out a deal to raise the U.S. debt ceiling and avert a historic default by the Treasury Department soon as June the 1st. Mr. Secretary, there are plenty of dire warnings about what would happen if the United States defaults, including from your successor, Secretary Yellen. Should we take those warnings at face value?
Well, I think you should take the warnings at face value, but let me be clear, I don't think we're going to have a default. And part of the issue is, and this is the problem with the U.S. system, we have a separate process that approves spending, that approves the raise in the debt limit. And we have almost an identical situation in reverse now as we had when I was negotiating with Speaker Pelosi. So at the time, the Democrats controlled the House, and she was very public and was very clear she wasn't going to raise the debt ceiling without increasing spending. We've now gone through several years, I think it's pretty clear, of excess fiscal response, which led to very high inflation. And the Republicans who control the House are now saying they won't raise the debt ceiling without lowering fiscal spending. So I think we'll get a deal. Always comes down to the wire, but I think we'll get a deal.
Hey, everybody. It's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And yes, there is no deal yet. Who you were listening to was Steve Mnuchin. He was the former Secretary of the Treasury, and he's seen this movie before. I think we're going to have a deal. It's going to be at the last moment. It is interesting that this is Memorial Day weekend, a holiday weekend in the United States, but lawmakers will return given a 24-hour notice if a deal is reached. All right, moving right along. This is interesting. This is a correction that was done by the company Ripple. Remember yesterday I had found the Palau case study, and in the Ripple Value Report 2023, they stated that the Palau stablecoin was built on a private ledger. Well, Anthony Welfare came and said, no, sorry, thanked me for finding that mistake, but that was just not the case. It's on the XRP public ledger. And when they redid the portion to make that correction, they decided to also remove the number of participants that were in the proof of concept, which I thought was strange. Why would they remove it? I don't know. And they also removed the fact that the first PDF said that the stablecoin was live, but they took that live. So I'm not sure what's going on there. This is not the first time something like this has happened in the last 6 months. Probably has a lot to do with the company that has ramped up so quickly in the amount of people that it now employs. They're up over 800 people, and they ramped up really, really fast in the last year and a half, 2 years. So I imagine it's difficult to keep everybody on the same page, especially when it comes to PR. So anyway, those changes were made, and that value report in its entirety, 62 pages, is extremely interesting. If you want to know what they're focusing on right now, it is the tokenization of value on the blockchain. They're also going to manage that value through holding, hedging, staking, lending, borrowing, and more. And of course, move value from one place to another with their payments. Have a look at this. If you are an XRP holder, there's no doubt in my mind you know the Sum wallet. That's by the XRPL Labs company in the Netherlands, Wietse Wind, and they are rebranding. Their new name is Zaman. They've given us an audio to be sure that we know how to say it. Have a listen.
Zaman. Zaman.
We may see a little boost in the market. Hong Kong is going to allow retail investors to start trading again next Thursday. And there are 2 approved exchanges, OSL and Hashkey, with 152 applications seeking to be licensed. So I think there's going to be a few more exchanges in the future. And from what I saw today, currently trading on those 2 sites is Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Aave, GRT, Engine, BAT, Compound, Litecoin, Uniswap, Ethereum, USDC, USD, USD Tether, Spice, BAT, BCAP, and Link. These reflect the new strict approval process that Hong Kong has put in place. Yesterday, I showed you a sneak peek of a longer format video that's coming with attorney Jesse Hines. He has a new project called Seed Starter. It's a platform that's regulated, and you can participate in new startups without being accredited. So it's going to be really wonderful for the 90% who are not in that accredited status but want to participate in a company that is just getting off the ground. Jesse announced 3 new people on his advisory board, and they're just fantastic. Astros Entertainment, Mohammed Tassir of Flair, and Ron Hammond, former Ripple employee now working on the Hill in D.C. Jesse's project is going to be one of those that make a dent in the universe. I'm going to let Dr. Ange take you out. This is, well, what can I say? I think the central bank digital currencies, the CBDCs, is likely to become the most emotionally charged topic among the multitude of issues we are all currently facing. Have a listen.
Governments worldwide are pushing totalitarian CBDCs that voters hate, yet they keep pushing. So what is coming next? I have a new article coming out next week on CBDC, specifically on a Republican bill that would actually greenlight a CBDC using government contractors. So I want to take a moment to consider some of these CBDCs that already exist as a cautionary tale. First, what is a CBDC? It is a crypto token that replaces the national currency, say the US dollar, with a government-run tracking ledger that lets bureaucrats surveil, control, and mandate every dollar you spend. They could prevent you from buying the wrong thing, whether it's raw milk or gas stoves or self-defense. They could stop you from donating to the wrong person, like we saw with the Canadian truckers. They could even force you to buy whatever a government bureaucrat tells you to. On top of the Soviet-style surveillance state, a CBDC is also an existential threat to the banking system, to the US dollars, and it would give central planners push-button control over every element of your life. Now, as you'd expect, CBDCs are astoundingly unpopular across political party. Polls in the US regularly show about 80 to 90% opposition. Yet governments keep pushing them, presumably because surveillance and central planning are simply too delicious to walk away from, while lobbyist dollars are just as tasty. Worldwide, so far, there have been 2 major implementations of CBDC. The first was China, which has never met a totalitarian technology it does not love. The second was Nigeria. In 2021, the Nigerian government pushed out its CBDC, the e-Naira. Almost nobody used it. Uptake was about 0.5%, which is pretty rough in a population that is among the most crypto savvy in the world. So over a third of Nigerians own Bitcoin and over half use crypto. So it's not the technology. Nigerians just really hate CBDCs. Given this pathetic showing, the Nigerian government then turned to hardball. First, they mandated discounts for paying in CBDCs. Then they redesigned the physical currency to flush out informal cash. Finally, they went nuclear, limiting cash withdrawals from ATMs to $40 per day to force people into the CBDC and to achieve a, quote, 100% cashless economy. Now, the informal cash-based economy in Nigeria is an enormous share of output. It's life or death for Nigeria's 200 million people because it's the only part outside government control, meaning it's the only part of Nigeria's economy that actually works. This meant that the cash limits led to complete chaos. People could not buy groceries, stores could not stock their shelves, gas stations ran out of fuel in the largest oil-producing country in Africa. Nigeria was rocked by widespread riots, including burning down banks and even central bank branches. By the way, the American-backed contractor who built Nigeria's CBDC was asked about the cash limits and the riots they caused. He praised the restrictions as a, quote, creative option that he expects to happen in other countries that impose CBDCs, making Nigeria a cautionary tale. So as much as people worldwide hate CBDCs, governments worldwide love them. Between the totalitarian surveillance, the control, and the godlike central planning of a CBDC, they will not stop until voters make them stop. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.